Okay, we're gonna move to item 3, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 4, opening remarks. Mr. Powers?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Garish. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you. Obviously, we still continue to make progress on our new school. In many ways, the building is complete. As you know, there are still many items that are still outstanding. Some, due to supply chain issues, as we've talked about, but they're working every week. We have items scheduled for April and even into the warmer weather. Obviously, the biggest issue that we've talked about still plagues us to a certain degree is the lighting situation. We are making progress on that, which is good. Certainly more progress than the last time we met. But again, it continues to be slow. Getting a commitment from Cooper Lighting to be on site until it's done has been a challenge. We really have pressed them to stay on site and not to leave until it's fixed, but they continue to tell us that, due to scheduling of their techs, that's not always possible. They have been coming back on a regular basis to continue to work and program or fix any new issues that do come up. We are still finding that they haven't necessarily told us that everything is fixed and done, so we assume that when they say, oh, we've worked on, this lighting section, that it's complete, but then, maybe a week later, the lights are on a random schedule again, and come to find out, they say, oh, well, that, section wasn't complete. So it's been a struggle to try to get daily reports. I know Alyssa and Kerry from Bacon has constantly, requested that we get their after action reports when they complete work on the site. It's just really been a struggle to get those. We are still pretty strong with our words and actions, but it does not seem to be having too much impact at this point. I know obviously there's other scenarios that could potentially play out, but I don't know if we're quite at that point yet. Because they do continue to come back and address some of the issues. But I know Alyssa and I could probably address that better than I can in terms of what next steps may be. But again, making progress, which is good to see. I think we've tried to, alleviate the neighbors' concerns for the most part. But, we're not 100% confident at this point until they tell us that everything is done, that things are really done. But otherwise, again, the building looks great. There's still some minor things here or there on the inside of the building that they, continue to address. But we're, eager for the warmer weather and see some of these plantings and shrubs really start to blossom and grow and see how they all fill in. And we'll go from there. But happy to answer any questions from anybody on the committee about where we stand.
All right, well, thank you. We can talk some more when we get to the other agenda items. Moving on to item 5, approval of previous meeting minutes, February 13th, 2023.
So moved. This is Mark.
Second, this is Mike Dolan.
All right, any discussion? All right, let's take the roll.
John,
Yes.
Michael Dolan,
Yes.
Harsh,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Michael Loesch,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Scott. Scott just joined, so he might still be getting set up. Okay, thank you. The motion was approved.
All right. Moving on to the next item, item 6, the OPM update. Melissa?
Good evening, everyone. All right, so we'll get started with the presentation, if you can all see my screen. So we continue to meet on a weekly basis, going through contract work and schedule. We've been managing a warranty and punch list items. I know this week specifically, we're going to be tracking down any of the small wares that haven't made it to the site yet. Some items were back ordered, some were out of stock. So we're going to touch base with each of the teachers this week to ensure that we can get those final items that they put on their list. So we had a Google form that they were able to input any of those concerns, and some things were like a rug here or a play toy here. So we're going to take care of that this week. We continue to assign any of those open warranty items to Bacon. We're going to plan for a walkthrough probably this week to go through the remaining items, but they continue to make good progress on that. They made a significant effort over February break to get the list down significantly. So as a group, we just want to close out those items. We've had a couple issues with the vehicular gates. And so that contractor Union Fence has returned to the site. There are a few error codes that were to be diagnosed and repaired by the electrician. And we also performed siren tests on those gates last week. So as we mentioned about the lighting controls, we continue to meet with the project team to discuss these issues. We've been meeting with them almost weekly at this point. We have a meeting with them again tomorrow. They did return to site last week and they were able to address some of the kitchen lights. They were able to address the scenes on the lighting control switches. And then the last thing that really is an issue right now, again, is the site lights. They'll say that they've tweaked it and it will just, one light or two lights will come on in the middle of the day, or the exterior wall packs will remain on. So we're really trying to get an answer from them on when are they returning to site. They're planning to this week, but haven't confirmed a day. So we're hoping to get that out of them tomorrow in the meeting. I think as they come back, they do make progress, and we get, minor detailed updates through email. But we have requested those field reports so we can see exactly what items are happening and how did they attempt to address them that day, in hand with systems, the electrician. So after our meeting tomorrow, we hope to have more information on what's been going on with the site lights. And then once we receive confirmation from them that everything has been programmed to the basis of design or the sequence of operations, then we'll have a training. But until that's done, we don't want to train on what may be still having issues. So we've been consistently meeting with them, consistently pressing them for dates. And, every time we get on the phone with them, it's, well, we just have to check up on that, or we'll let you know. So Carrie and I consistently have been following up on that. And then the entire project team has been present at every meeting so far, just trying to get answers out of them and commitments with dates. So as you all know, we did put them on notice, and that's within our contractual right to do so. We haven't finalized any back charge paperwork, but we have started working on the analysis with the national grid bills that we have now, in accordance with what we think will be the kilowatt usage for the building versus what we're actually using. So in order to finalize that, we need to see what does the usage look like when the lights are fully functioning and are fully programmed. And at that point, we'll confirm what that's supposed to look like and go through a couple options there. I know Carrie and Steve at Bacon Construction have been speaking to us about a couple options that they're pressing on through systems and things like pushing them to give us additional drivers for the lights. So that way the life expectancy of them isn't an issue for us in the long term. So we are trying to creatively figure out ways that we can make this a little bit easier for us in the long run. But again, we continue to have those meetings and I'll continue to update the group here with progress. But like we mentioned, at least at the nighttime, the site lights are going off at the right times. The corridor lights are now dimming to the 25% that they're supposed to. Classroom lights are going off at night. So there has been significant progress with that, but it's just these other issues that we're looking to get to completion. So just a few progress photos of the building. We did finalize the trim around the skylights, which definitely looks a lot better now. So the building, skylights. So some of the remaining work, we're replacing an exterior door. There's a couple of broken glass panes that we believe is due to weather. So they're having the rep come look at that, investigate the issue and see what can be done in those areas. And then we're installing caps on the lay lights. DePauli will be back to put an additional coat of sealer on the lower level terrazzo. So that will be done over the April break. The George Mitchell plaque is scheduled to ship this week. So we hope to get that in and installed soon. And I'll definitely take some pictures when that is installed. The cafeteria shades have been installed. The gas meter we will potentially be installing over April. If not, it will probably be when school ends. We just want to wait until the heating season is over. And then we have a couple items under the electrician. An AV system training is upcoming. The projection screen was fixed. That motor was replaced. Again, we talked about the lighting controls. Fire alarm device maps are being updated and those will be posted at the egress areas. And then we had missing panel board covers that have been shipping since last summer and they sent the wrong item. So the electrician is still following up with that. And again, that was just a panel board cover, not the actual panel board itself. We had a couple errors on the gate. So the electrician is planning to review that and get back to us with a diagnosis and a plan. The architect has mentioned that they should replace the controller at that gate and the board. So that way we are not having those issues anymore. So that's something we continue to discuss. We've begun installing the signals and poles by the front entrance of the Mitchell School at South Street. And then the pavement markings will be done over April vacation. So just that's some of the contract work that has been ongoing and still happening. And we continue to meet about that, but the list has gone down significantly. And we feel that continuing to meet weekly and address and discuss these items has been really positive. A lot of effort from, our team, RDA and Bacon to continue to address the remaining work. So just looking ahead at a couple of our next building committee meetings, April 10th, May 8th, June 12th. We continue to track the budget. We are still on budget, so making good progress on there and still continuing to track those pro pays. So we're in good shape as well as those numbers start to get a little bit smaller. So that is the presentation. I'm not sure if anyone has any comments or questions.
Melissa, it's Gene. When's the April meeting?
April 12th.
10.
Oh, 10th, sorry.
Thanks.
John, can I just ask Alyssa 2 questions? This is Pat.
Sure.
Alyssa, did a panel on the South Street side of the fence fall down recently? The wooden fence?
It did, and we pushed for them to actually pour concrete in there to strengthen the fence, and so they'll be returning to do it at all the locations so that this doesn't happen again. But we did discuss that in the meeting.
My concern is that this is the second or third time the fence has been fixed in that area. I know in one windstorm it blew and was out of whack, and now a panel's down. It just, it makes me question the install of that fence.
Yeah, we will definitely bring it up. I mean, they were supposed to address it the first time. It seemed to do the job. But we did talk extensively about that in the meeting, that they need to come back and really, fix those foundations of the fence.
So the plan is all those posts are gonna be now cemented?
Yes.
Anything that's not basically adhered to, because we put in some sort of a contraption into the concrete wall that the posts slide into, but everything else is just in dirt, correct?
Correct.
And those are all,
There were sleeves, Pat, that were put into the concrete.
and all the ones that keep bending over or tilting over or falling out are gonna be, I mean, the fence just seems like it's shoddy work. Every time you see it blowing over and panels falling out, that's all.
Right.
The next one, what's up with the gym floor?
So we had the Hilliard rep come out and look at the status of, or the quality of the floor. So we did a refinish. It wasn't a complete buff and reseal. It was just a refinish. They put another coat on the floor. So it didn't take up any of the line work that was there, but the floor does not look as shiny and as new as when we first got it done. So after they refinished it, we had the rep come look at it again, and he said it meets the design, it meets the mill thickness. This is what I would expect on a new floor. And he said, until you refinish it in the summer, it's not really going to be as glossy and as shiny as when it usually does. And I know that between conversations with, RDA and CHA and Bacon, we really feel that the flooring is not as nice as it should be and what you would expect of a new floor. So I know that Bacon is working with Hilliard to see what are our options. Can we refinish the floor once more? Is there a way that we can make it look more new? I know that the district had the athletic director come and look at the floor, just to give an opinion on the matter and say, is this what you would expect of a new floor? And they disagreed that this was not what you would expect with a new floor.
So I think at our last meeting, John said there's no way we're going to accept that floor because I believe we were told they ran out of product. Is that correct?
They did, and they came back and finished it. And that work was monitored by Bacon, so that part is true. But
So
the floor looks.
that happened between this meeting and the last meeting we had a month ago?
No, that was back on December break. Where it
Right,
got refinished.
but at our last meeting, we talked about it again. And
No
we said
work has been done since the last meeting on that
so
gym floor.
so we're still at the same spot and we're not going to accept it and we want it to be redone. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we had the Hilliard rep come back, make his statement, and now we're in a disagreement with them on how to move forward. So we're looking for them to present some options to us, whether we go ahead and refinish it ourselves, they split the cost. Some type of negotiation needs to happen now because we're not on record, we have not accepted the floor.
The gym padding on the walls, did some of the panels fall down?
So I believe some of I haven't heard that the panels fell down, but there were some wall pads that were loosely secured because they were supposed to be basically Velcro to the wall. So I know that we spoke last week about Kevin, the super, going down and coming up with a detail to secure it permanently to the wall, because it would be something that the staff wouldn't want to be removing for any reason. So we're working on a detail for that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. I can mention one more thing too that I forgot to say. So we are working on some signage. We've been talking in our weekly meetings about some signage at the playground area. No bike riding, no pets, because there's been a little bit of increased activity there. So we kind of want to monitor with some sort of police take notice wording. So we're working through that. And then I believe we were thinking about putting an alarm on that back gym door. And that's something that can simply be added through the hardware store. So those are just a couple of things that we've been talking about in our weekly meetings and trying to address.
John, could I ask two more questions real quick?
Sure.
So will there be some signage added to the inside of those gym doors? Like this is not, emergency exit only or something like that, but the teachers can use it?
Yes. Yeah, so I
And then-
believe that's what we've been discussing, but we haven't finalized the wording yet.
And then since we talked last time, I know there was a lot of trash in the area of the wetland behind the fence and around the perimeter. Has that all been cleaned up?
So Bacon went out with their laborer and picked up over 6 full trash bags of stuff. And a lot of stuff has blown into that area that was definitely not construction debris, but actually just trash from, I don't know, neighboring properties or something, but they were able to go out there and clean up significantly.
So the perimeter and the site and everything's been clean?
It has been, but that was what, 2 weeks ago at this point?
All right. Well, I mean, it shouldn't be that bad in 2 weeks, right? And when I went back there, it was a lot of construction debris. It was like sill seal and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's tough to tell where the water bottles and all that stuff came from, but the majority of it appeared to be construction debris. So,
Yeah,
All
so
right,
they did make an effort to clean up as much as they could, so we
Right.
are certain that to that point, everything had been addressed.
and last, what is the responsibility? What is the responsibility of the contractor for landscaping in the spring? Are they going to be reseeding? Are they done? Are they coming back to what should we expect from a landscape? A landscape, package or whatever in the spring. Is there anything owed by the contractor or no?
There is, and I'll have to pull the specific language from the specifications on what they're gonna do. But I know that there were some things we did wait until the spring for the growing season to be able to reseed and monitor the growth that has, or I guess the non-growth that has happened through the winter. They still own the health of the plants. I think it was up to 1 year. So if
But I know
anything has
that-
died, they'll have to come back and replace it.
I know those fields, somebody brought up, I can't remember who, that the fields were muddy and they needed to be reseeded and stuff. So all those fields are going to be reseeded in the spring and is that correct?
I don't necessarily know what the language. I know that there were complaints that it was muddy and that was the way it was designed. We didn't spend any additional money to make it, I guess, a better detail.
But they do owe us grass, right?
Yes.
So if the grass isn't there in the spring, they're gonna have to reseed whatever they need to reseed, correct?
I mean, I'll look in the spec. I can't say right now.
All right, thank you.
Pat, this is John. Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead, John.
I can't tell whether I'm muted or not. Can you hear me?
We can
We can
hear you.
Every place except the bog field, I'll call it, the one that's off to the northwest, which was just seeded over what was there. Everything else is supposed to exhibit no new growth and be as viable as it was when it's new. So all the grass in that field and the 2 playgrounds and throughout the site, it's all supposed to be healthy and vigorous. So we've had this discussion, and Bacon is well aware of what we expect from them in terms of the health of all the plantings on that site. So when we get the weather that gives us the budding and the growth, we will have some long conversations with Bacon about what this project expects them to give us before they walk away.
So is the school district responsible right away for maintenance? So in a month or so?
No. They owed us cuttings in the fall, and they owe us a cutting and maintenance in the spring, especially when we go through a thermal cycle like this. So we're expecting that when we get the growth that we're supposed to get in the 1st of April, whatever it's supposed to be, that there is a landscaping effort from the contractor that turns it over to us in a finished state and an acceptable state in terms of health and vigor of plants and plantings and grass. So this is far from over, Pat. This is something that anything we do right now, we're just speculating. So they know that we're expecting an effort and a completed product in early spring.
Okay.
I wanted to go back to the, maybe the lighting issue and the court. I wanted to make sure everybody else had a chance to ask any questions. Can't really see everybody on my screen, so. All right, so let's go back to the court. We've talked a few times about finish not being acceptable or complete and not acceptable, so just throwing this question out there. So how many more meetings are we going to talk about the same thing? In other words, there's got to be a date certain or a point in time in the contract schedule that it's just not acceptable. So can Alyssa or John or Joe give me some help on that? I mean, if we paid,
Well,
God,
we
John.
rejected the floor, Joe. RDA has rejected the floor. So the contractor has to respond to that. So I
what's
think you're
that
right.
timeframe?
Well, as I said, we need to deliver that ultimatum. We were hoping we didn't have to. But I think, as you say, I mean, Alyssa and I have to talk about exactly when we're gonna put the hammer down and say this is the date that we have to have a resolution by.
Okay,
So
so,
we will discuss it at tomorrow's meeting and we will make a decision at that meeting or amongst ourselves after that meeting as to what we're gonna direct Bacon to do.
yeah, I think we're at that point, John. I know you're on top of this. We got to give them that date. We can always relax it, right? If we don't give them that date, I just think it's just gonna keep flipping. And it's not like we can't get the product. I know we've experienced that, the whole country has, right? It's not a matter of that, it sounds. It's just a matter of them completing it to the contract document, right?
We'll force the issue, John. We were trying to resolve it amicably, but we'll force the issue.
Okay. The lighting controls. So, I mean, this is ties to the function of the facility that we bought, right? It's like the floor is. I mean, we could say, well, we're still using it, but that's an accommodation on our part. But with the lighting controls, can you tell me what we've paid for? Have we paid for any portion of the lighting controls in prior pay requests?
I'm sure we have, but with the amount of retainage that we owe systems, we certainly haven't exceeded. We certainly have money on systems to deal with any of this.
Yeah,
If
I think
we
it's
need
like
to back charge the full
$300,000.
amount. I mean, we paid in good faith because they told us they were working on it, and at some point we stopped paying systems altogether.
Right.
So the system still has an outstanding invoices that we haven't paid or processed, plus we have the retainage on their entire contract. So
Okay, so
we're
that's
in a good situation financially. Unfortunately, this isn't like the floor where we have another option. If we boot this lighting control guy, we're going to be shooting ourselves in the foot. As painful as it is, we are actually better off to get it completed and have GGD review that completion and then have GGD present at the training to make sure that the owner's getting what they want. Because at that training level, we're supposed to be able to reprogram this with the equipment that we're supposed to be buying from them. So the only thing we have is any kind of back charge from the usage and some sort of lump sum or some dictatorial agreement that we come up with that you got to give us X amount of dollars. So I'm not in a rush to boot this lighting control guy just because I think it's bad for the owner.
No, I understand, and the systems are complex. It's just that, I mean, why are we, let me ask this. We have a pay requisition tonight that we're going to vote on. Why do we keep processing those. I mean,
But there's
We
no
haven't
money for the
processed-
electrician
yeah.
being processed.
Right, exactly.
okay,
I don't, and again, I don't know contract law as well as I probably should, but I don't believe we can withhold an entire requisition when the entire value of the issue is still in our pocket. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I just don't think, I don't think we're allowed to do that, especially in the file sub environment, but I would have to really research that to find out how accurate that statement is.
okay, I'm just looking for ways to make this Bacon's problem. And not Green Gate's problem. Right? Because, I mean, we keep hearing it from the superintendent, you know, this is impacting the function of the school. And same thing, John, I'm not arguing with you, right? We're just trying to figure out how we move this along, just to get what we expect. How many times are we gonna hear that they didn't show up because they're just not motivated? I mean, can Bacon hire a third-party programmer, come in?
I don't think they can, John.
program this
That's the
system?
problem. So Alyssa, what's the value of the rec tonight?
87,000.
So, yeah. This is just the release of retainage for subs who have already completed their work. There's no systems, electrician costs, there's no lighting controls.
Yeah, but
We haven't paid
what's the
systems.
value? What's the
87,000,
value we're talking about?
87,000,
How much? I'm
87,000.
sorry. I mean, John may be right that we need to not pay a rec and see what happens.
So John, this is Joe. Legally related to the file subcontractors that are billing outside of systems, if the work has been performed, we're obligated to pay them through Mass General Law. Now, if there's any related costs associated with the electrician and these lighting controls, obviously not. We're holding $1,063,094 left on them. So it's more than enough to cover the overall costs associated with the electrician, and they've been put on notice. So I think tomorrow's meeting, we start hammering them about timelines and costs associated with this as we move forward. And John,
But Joe,
hold on a minute. So John Garish, your school district isn't the only school district struggling with controls. We have two other schools that we're dealing with that have had similar issues, and whether it's components or labor is irrelevant. We're trying to work through those situations so that you get the program in the school that you deserve, period. And we're I can tell you diligently, RDK and as well as CHA are doing everything in their power with the engineers of record to basically force this project to be completed so that you guys can utilize it as designed.
Okay, so I'm not suggesting you're not. It's just I'm just looking for what leverage we have. So Joe, do we have to process payment requests every 30 days? What if we didn't meet every 30 days?
No, you don't, but depending on, the contractual requisitions that are being submitted, it has to go through the approval process, whether it's architect and the owner's project manager and then the district. Based on, you don't have to, and just because they submitted a pencil rec doesn't mean we have to approve it. However, if the contract work is in place and it's satisfactory by the engineer and designer of record, legally you have to pay them for those services, other than the unsatisfactory work.
Okay, so
But
if I
Joe-
look at this requisition and I go and see line items for lighting controls and it says that it's 100% it's been paid, why are we at that point if it's not complete? Why did we pay them? Unless I'm
We
reading.
didn't pay them.
You go to page whatever, page 7. Show me just no, not
John, what were you saying from IDK?
I believe this requisition is all for retainage reduction, is it not,
That's
Alyssa?
correct. Yes, I stated that already.
There's
That's correct.
nothing, There's nothing that I know of in Mass General Law that says you have to reduce retainage
No, you don't.
until the very end.
No, you don't.
So
I'm just,
my point, this was my point, Joe, that this may be the message to Bacon that says, look, this is the attitude of the owner. This can't go another month.
no, I
Because
don't
this is-
disagree. I mean, you have the liberty to do so. If the filed subcontractor's work is complete and it's been satisfactorily installed, and I'm not talking about electrical, John, I'm talking about in
I
general.
understand that, but all of the
rent-
rest, this rec is all retainage reduction.
I know,
It's got
and-
nothing to do with the scope of the work.
I understand that, but it'd be like the structural steel has been installed and we've built around it. If they're looking for retainage, we have an obligation to release the retainage.
No, I don't think, that's my point, Joe. I don't think we have it, we do it out of consideration, and we do it as part of a kumbaya thing because the project's going well. But at some point, the general contractor is not feeling the pain of this.
Oh, I don't disagree. So I mean, I think you
So-
have the ability to not approve this requisition, have a candid
Joe, let me-
conversation.
Let me throw out an example. Alyssa, who I think Alyssa's driving, go to page 51. It's just the first one that came up. It's item 26, 1066. Lighting controls. 34,000.
Yeah, see it.
Shows that it's 100% complete and apparently it's already been paid. So I'm the building committee chairman and I just noticed an error on their payment request that shouldn't have been processed at 100% because it's clearly not 100%. So
Got it, Joe.
I want to stop paying the contractor until he rectifies this situation. He's going to have to amend a prior pay request.
You got
He's
it.
gonna have to
Yep,
Do something because there's something not right here.
yep,
This-
understood.
That part
where
for
I'm going?
lighting controls was only part A ground floor. So that part is completed.
All right, let's go to the next one then.
John, you're 100% right. If
See
there's.
where I'm going. I mean,
Yep, I see
we
what you're
don't
saying.
know what
but-
else we have, whatever leverage we have. We got to get people motivated.
Yeah,
And I
and
know
money's the way to do it.
on the team's end, but, I'm just throwing this out there because something doesn't seem right. If
We
Green-
haven't paid systems in months. So we haven't improperly paid or I guess left things, we've left money left on the table for them. I think it's about 300,000 left on Cooper Lighting for the lighting controls.
Okay, so how is that, Alyssa? You show
Because
me.
it's
here
spread,
that-
it's spread between, so the way the SOV is broken out is
Yeah.
between all the parts of the building. So site, part A, part B, ground floor, first floor, second floor. And what we know right now that's left undone is the training. The site lighting is completed, but we're having issues. So yes, they've completed the work, but we also haven't paid them in months for this work. Ever since they came back in January, we haven't paid systems. So Cooper Lighting came in the summer and in August and September. And then there was a long period of time that they didn't come to site at all. And then they returned in January, and that's when they completed a majority of the work, but we never paid them at that point.
But to your point, John, I agree. I think, we have the ability to not approve the release of any retainage as a
Right.
message to Bacon to, get on the stick and get it done, period.
Okay, so, I don't know how my fellow committee members feel, maybe this meeting isn't the one, but, that's how I feel right now.
Mhm.
Because I just don't want to get the next update next month. Mr. Powers saying, the things that still aren't working and, that the technician didn't show up or that he, didn't do everything we thought he was going to do. So, trying to bend that curve to completion. Okay, so maybe, and I definitely appreciate the challenges with these systems, Joe, because I see it on my projects in the business that I'm in. They're all private,
Okay.
mostly, 95% of them are private right now, so it's a little different. How long do we let this go before it's, a failure? Not just a failure to get it programmed correctly, but it's a failure of the lighting system and their controls. Similar to the floor, is there a date certain we're gonna put them on notice and?
So we already put them on notice in January. And the remaining issues is really the site lighting and the wall packs outside. So that's our biggest issue. But when it came to the kitchen and cafeteria not going off, that was fixed. The lobby lights was fixed, the classrooms, the corridors, the scenes on the lighting controls was fixed. So a lot of our major pain points were fixed. But now from what we're hearing from them is, oh, it's done, we've addressed it. And then, like we said, a light or two will go out in the middle of the day outside. And I've heard from the electrician and from Bacon, the general contractor, that it was originally a back end programming issue that they thought it to be at the site. And then they discovered that potentially some of the Wi-Fi for the lighting signal is crossing with the school's Wi-Fi. So they're still investigating this. I think our issue right now is that we're meeting with them every week. They send a tech for 1 or 2 days from Georgia. They fly up, they come here, they try to address the issues in the 16 hours that they're here. And then they make some progress, and then they don't have a date waiting for us on when they're going to return next. So they came Thursday and Friday. They gave us an update on Friday, and now it's Monday. We're meeting with them tomorrow, and we should hear a follow-up date from them on when they're going to return this week. And that's when we want them to look at the site lighting. So once those items are confirmed and done, then we will have the training. The owner will go through learning the system, what it should do, what it shouldn't do. And then at that point, we can make any programming changes. But we really want to see them implement the basis of design. We want to get what we're owed. So we're working to that point. And I think many people that are on this meeting are in those meetings talking about the lighting controls every week. So yes, we're at a point where we're frustrated, but we did put them on notice and we have been pushing them for answers. And we haven't been paying them either. So I think that's really, what the team's been working towards. So
I didn't mean to
I hope to
imply
have
that
more.
the team wasn't working hard on it, I'm looking for leverage.
Leverage, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I know it's gonna be tough.
And John, the other part is Ryan, couldn't have been more direct with them. They send the tech out and we demanded to have the tech there until it was completed. I mean, literally, verbally telling them, we don't want you leaving until we have answers that it's been completed. They did take strides on correcting the interior lighting and some of the concerns and controls with that, but the exterior lighting continues to be problematic. And I think, just holding money back on them is your leverage at this point.
So maybe if I could ask Mr. Powers, is it correct to characterize this as, the lighting controls that we're talking about? Is it a true statement to say that it hasn't impacted the functioning of the school program when the building is in use?
I would say not 100% accurate, Mr. Garish, in that, we did have pockets where some of the single student bathrooms, the lights wouldn't stay on. So a student may go in, the light would come on, all of a sudden it would shut off on the student where they were now alone in the bathroom. So, those are the issues that they say they're corrected. And again, waiting to see 100% sure if they really are. Other than that, yes. I mean, the lights are on. We're not hearing from teachers that, their classroom is in darkness. The light may randomly shut off, but they're able to get it back on. So there's nothing that's, really impacting so far teaching and learning. Overall, there are those few, small pocket areas that are concerning, and we would say are definitely impacting students, but those are the ones that at least Cooper seems to be addressing first.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, I don't think I have any more on that. Sounds like, the team is on top of it. So, Alyssa, maybe, or John, maybe you could send us an update after you've had these meetings, maybe in a week. So we don't convene again next month and we haven't made any progress. Even, an email update or something. Just a suggestion.
Yes.
All right. That, I don't have any more questions on that item. Does any?
Just so I'm clear, so the requisition before us tonight is only for 87,000?
Yes.
So John, were you suggesting we not pay that?
I was considering that. It's just, part of this predicament that the lighting controls contractor, I guess, subcontract.
I think, we talk about the same things at every meeting. I think, maybe we should hold it back. I don't know.
I don't know. Does anybody else have any other thoughts? Harsh, what do you have any thoughts?
I think again, in my line of work, holding retainage against the subcontractor can go south for the owner. Instead of voting today, could I make a suggestion that we defer or postpone the vote and just maybe investigate a little bit, like John was saying earlier, to just see if we understand the legalities of withholding a payment on retainage.
So Harsh, are you suggesting that that we don't vote?
Yes, I think instead of voting that we don't pay today, I suggest we postpone the vote today, and maybe spend some time to just investigate the ramifications of denying retainage release. In my experience, that can trigger other issues with subcontractor relationships.
Okay. So I guess to the OPM team, if we were to do that, that means we would not take a vote on item 8.
So John, can I make a recommendation? What you could do is vote to move forward with it, but holding the payment until after this week's job meeting to find out the outcome and the resolution of what they're proposing for payment, because you don't have to issue the check once you're approved it, correct?
Right, you can hold the check.
So you're saying we could make a motion to approve requisition
Pending the outcome of the meeting over the controls that's going to occur tomorrow.
and then what triggers the release of the check? It's just
If we have satisfactory outcome of when they plan on resolving it, along with a final date of resolution for completion and final training.
that would be at your discretion at CHA's discretion.
To give you a recommendation as to where we sit. That way you're not waiting another week or two for a vote if they resolve it. And if they don't, we hold the check. It's that simple.
Okay. I think I understand. I'm just trying to figure out how we craft the motion. Because if we're going to approve the requisition, we're going to approve the amount, but not release for payment, right?
Correct.
And then we have to have a condition in the motion to what's going to trigger the release of the payment. So This is where Mike Dolan speaks straight.
I'm drafting something now, John.
I was waiting for him. He was awful quiet.
Sorry.
I think it's just a check and balance, and it gives us an opportunity to be frank with the contractor and have a scheduled resolution as to what their plan is, and let them know that we're not kidding around. Bottom line.
Yeah, and I think as a committee and as a team, we've processed these in good faith. We know people need to get paid, and if they've done the work, they should get paid. And I think we've all taken that pretty seriously. I know I have, and the team has always got these in front of us so that we could have an opportunity to vote on them and just keep things moving. So, I just don't want it to be a rubber stamp.
Yep, I agree, John.
Sorry, John, you're still waiting for me. I'm still working on this. I don't know what's next on the agenda. If you want to go to, I think it's Gene.
Okay, so you're right, Michael. Actually, so before we go on to the next item, because I did get ahead of myself. Harsh has to leave at 7:30. So we need Harsh's vote for a quorum for either 8 or 9.
Josh, can you help with that? I'm not.
Nope. Harsh leaving won't impact the quorum.
Okay.
John, I did just message you that Michael Dutton will be taking over for me. I have another meeting commitment.
Okay.
So if he doesn't respond during the roll call vote, you might just have to do the roll call vote as the chair.
Okay. I wasn't sure that was in my job description, but I'll figure it out. Okay, so on that note, and maybe if we're all set on item 6, the OPM update, we can move on to the designer update. And thank you, Alyssa.
Great. Well, I think you've talked about everything that we have to update you on, to be honest. As you know, John continues to go weekly, continues to advocate on your behalf. And we don't have any change orders this week or this month. So we did hold off on doing a final contract amendment until we had all the invoices for any kind of straggling things that happened, because contract amendments, take a lot of time and effort, and they're kind of a pain in the neck. But we did submit one, which I think was in your package. And what it does is it has about $47,000 worth of services from our civil engineer that were related to requirements of the planning board and the conservation commission. At this point, a couple of years ago, as part of their approval, they wanted things like a final as-built survey. They wanted semi-annual inspections and reports and various things like that. There was another $10,600 worth of filing fees for the LEED certification, and either LEED or the Collaborative for High Performing Schools, which is another ranking system, is required by MSBA if the district wanted to secure its extra 2% of reimbursement. So, the project is LEED certified. We have not submitted the final construction review to LEED, but we're anticipating that the building will end up with a silver rating. So there's certified silver, gold, and then platinum. And it's pretty rare that, well, I'm not sure any schools have been platinum. Maybe Joe would correct me, but you know, silver is what you have to hit is at least certified, and so we're one level above that, and that's kind of a green building, quote unquote, certification program. So between
Can I ask you one quick question before you continue?
Sure.
So from the very beginning, the process wasn't to supply and submit a LEED certification for the building?
No, it's required as part of the districts, you know, if they want to get that extra 2%, Joe, which.
So my question was during the contractual portions of, you know, RDA with the district, was the intent always, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm just confused why the engineer wouldn't have had that in the contractual obligations if it was the consideration from day one.
Oh, no, we all did. We all put hours and hours and hours into getting the certification. So this is strictly the filing fees. It's like a printing cost, you know, so to speak.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that like the services that they're trying to be paid for wasn't part of the original scope on contractual obligations, that's all.
Yeah, no, this is strictly, you know, the fees for LEED to review things.
Okay.
You know, for instance, if the district wanted to, you know, LEED denied some points, you know, the district said, oh, you know, no, we don't agree, and, you know, we want to appeal that, it's another fee, you know what I mean, so. So the whole thing is about 60,381. Most of it, like I say, is either the LEED certification review fees or the planning board and Concom. There was some geotechnical inspections, $1,827 that we just, you know, that ran above the original budget for geotechnical, but it really didn't make sense to do a contract amendment for such a small amount. And then there was also a plan set that CHA needed, was delivered to the CHA trailer. And this was a couple of years ago, but again, we didn't have any way to bill for it. So we just kind of collected all these invoices and figured we'd do everything at the end. So that's kind of a summary of a contract amendment, and really beyond that, we, besides fighting with the contractor, which is mostly John, we don't have much else to report.
Okay, so that's item 9 on the agenda that we just went over, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Amiota's proposal.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for the designer update? All right. So I think I see Mr. Dutton on.
Hey, John.
Good evening.
John, shouldn't we all rise once Michael Dutton arrives to the meeting?
I just wonder if that means I don't have to do the roll.
Usually it means everybody logs off. No, I'm happy to do the roll. You tell me when there's a roll, I'll do it.
All right. I was getting nervous there. So, okay, so that's it for designer update. It doesn't appear that anybody has any questions or any other items for, okay. So we're gonna move on to item 8.
So, John, it's Mike. Can you hear me?
Ken,
Okay, so I wrote a motion. I'm willing to make it. But the other option we have in our pocket is you call for the motion and there is no motion, there's no vote. So I just put that forward as a sort of parliamentary procedure piece. I wrote the motion willing to make it, but then again, the committee, once I make it, could vote it down. So there's that option as well. So I just.
Okay.
That's what we have. So, I'm willing to amend this in any way. So motion to approve the Bacon's application for payment in the amount of $87,923 and hold the payment until the OPM is satisfied with the outcome of the systems control completion date and training.
Okay, so just as a clarification, were you actually making that motion or were you just telling us what the verbiage is because you were off doing that while we were talking?
I'll make that as a motion. If there is no second, it dies on the floor though, just as another piece to that.
Second, Mike Loesch.
Okay, is there any discussion? Is everybody clear what we're doing? All right,
You want me to do the roll?
yes, please. You'd never ask.
All right, John Garish,
Yes,
Mike Dolan,
Yes.
Mark Lindy,
Yes.
Michael Loesch,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
and Scott.
Yes.
All right, all in favor.
okay, thank you. I think that's the right thing to do, the way to go. So CHA will manage that, I'm sure, to the best of our advantage right now. Okay, thank you. So item 9, Samiotis proposal vote required. So this is the contract amendment number 3 that Dean went over in his designer update. Are there any questions on it before we take a motion? All right. Does anybody want to make a motion?
John, I got one question before you make the motion. Gene,
Sure.
just follow up on the site plan approval requirements, all under the RDA amendment number 3. The as-built topo all the way through certificate of occupancy, that's all additional services, not necessarily base contract based on the occupancy. Is this all for the lead certification?
No, it's all based on requirement. Well, first of all, it's under the permitting heading, which is all reimbursable. But
Okay.
these were specific conditions. The Concom had specific conditions as part of their order of conditions, and the planning board had specific conditions as part of their site plan review decision.
All right, just trying to keep you on your toes. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay, I don't see any other hands up, or I have no further questions on it. Anybody want to make a motion to approve amendment 3?
Motion to approve the Semiotis amendment for $60,381.23.
Mike Loesch, second.
All right, take the roll.
All right, John Garish,
Yes.
Mike Dolan,
Yes.
Mark Lindy,
Yes.
Michael Loesch,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
and Scott.
Yes.
All in favor?
Thank you. Item 10, report of the communication group.
We have nothing.
Okay. Item 11, the next Mitchell Elementary School Building Committee meeting is scheduled for April 10th. Item 12, new business, and it can include no school for snow days tomorrow or Wednesday. Contrary to what I said earlier.
John, I gotta tell you, I was really impressed with Michael Dutton's roll call. I mean, that was the smoothest I've seen in a long time.
Hey, come on, Josh just left. That's not fair.
Do we have any new business? All right, seeing none. Item 13, public comment. All right, seeing none, I guess next item is adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, second.
All right, John Garish,
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Mike Dolan,
Yes.
Mark Lindy,
Yes.
Michael Loesch,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
and Scott.
Yes.
You are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Good
Good night,
night.
everyone.
Yeah.